You are listening to the We Hired a Sitter for This podcast.
We hired a sitter for this.
We have a roster of like 7 sitters.
I'm spending $3,000 on paints.
Do you go to therapy?
Never have, nah.
There was a small fire. I put it out.
Real talk, the stakes are too high with my baby.
Comedy, parenting, marriage, life.
We do it all.
I'm a dad and I'm busy.
I have an opinion. I don't know if it'll be right, but
I'm Patrick.
my name is Gastor.
We hired a sitter.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're back for episode 139 of We Hired a Sitter for This. My name is Patrick Holbert.
What's good? My name is Gastor Almonte. If you don't know that after 139 episodes, I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, where have you been? Is this your first episode?
You know?
Why are you just joining us now?
Slacker.
We've been hanging out for a while now.
Real talk.
Go back to episode number 116. That was Gastor's first.
Real talk.
That was a classic. It was an all-timer. You
It's
should
a gem, yo.
definitely check it out. We're back. This episode, if you can't tell by our outfits, it's our second one we're doing today, and we're recording in a tiny 10 by 10 art studio office in front of a green screen. Actually, I should say we're at what is that guy's studio down in Atlanta? This riff would have been funny if I knew where I was going with it. Black filmmaker, makes a lot of black films.
Tyler Perry?
Yeah, we're at Tyler Perry Studios right now in front of in the green screen room. The air conditioning is amazing in here. We are not sweating our asses off at all. And we're doing great. And this episode, since it's our second of the day, and we've talked quite a lot last episode about life in general, we're going to take it to Reddit. We got a couple of spicy Reddit entries about fatherhood that we thought we could just respond to. I don't know if they're all spicy, but I'll start with the spiciest
I like this
of them.
Let's do this.
So if you're a parent, this podcast, we talk about parenting. If you're a dad, if you're a new dad, maybe you'll relate to this.
You know, fun fact, by the way,
Yeah.
my son asked me if he could join Reddit this week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
What's he interested in? Gaming? Anime?
Gaming, coding, Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
So yeah, like I had to have a talk with him of like, yeah, like just know that everything is talked about on Reddit. So like, you know, don't go to weird places.
Yeah.
Not even because I'll find out, but because everyone will find out.
Yeah. This is a great topic actually. What are the rules of the road?
Yeah.
So he's 15?
14.
So a 14-year-old is about to gain access to a portal into anything in the world you want to know about in depth from people's firsthand experience. I assume he's on social media of some kind already.
He's on Discord.
Okay.
He doesn't really do the socials. At least he hasn't told me about it. I believe that that's true. I don't think he's that kind of kid in the sense that like I don't think he finds that stuff as interesting yet.
Yeah.
I think that'll change this coming year.
But Discord people just communicate on, right? Like it's
it's
like if you're gaming together or something.
Yeah, but your profile does kind of like transfer over. Like if you join other Discords, it's still the same profile.
Yeah.
And they consider it a social. But he's been on that for about 2 years.
Okay.
And he has, to your point, he has friends there that he video games with, and he also has friends there that he's learned coding with.
So with that, or now Reddit, is part of the rules that you must know his screen name?
No, I just want to know what he's on, and we take all their devices at night. So 10 o'clock, everything has to be in
Where do
the
they
living
go?
room. Everything has to stay with us in the living room.
They go to bed. You're up watching TV a little bit late.
So their
Is
iPads, their
there a
iPhones,
bowl or something?
There's like a shelf. Everything has to go on.
This is so interesting. It has never even. I mean, I guess I've thought. Like actually, Franny last week said, "I want a real phone." Like there's a T-Mobile store near us, and she'll stop every time we go, and she'll say, "I want a phone from in there." And we're like, maybe when you're older. And she's like, yeah, maybe when I'm 5. So we're jokingly talking about like, yeah, when do you get a phone for a kid?
Yeah, we were last. I know that in both classes. Aiden is in 8th grade. He's graduating, and I know he was like one of like 3 kids without one when the school year ended last year. He got and started this year. He got it in like late September.
So you could pick up the phone and call him, and he would pick up.
No, because he doesn't do that. He doesn't like he still hasn't really like.
But you can text him.
But I could text him. He'll respond in like a day or two. He doesn't really like use social like the phone for a phone. My daughter's really good with that, and she.
But there must be rules around like if I call you, you got to get back to me.
I that's what I want him to use it for. We use it more as like a tracker, like we know where he is.
Okay.
But
what is that?
Like we have like the
the
Apple,
Find My app.
Yeah,
like
the Find My
Apple?
app. So like we know where he is. But
That's
yeah, like
fascinating.
he lives so close to his school, it hasn't really been a thing, and like he doesn't really like all of his classmates like that. So he's like, I don't really want to be calling them.
Yeah.
But my daughter is more of a social butterfly, so she has people she calls and texts, and she in turn also, since she travels for school, she's kind of been like, yeah, if I'm out here, I'll know to text you when I get here, text you when I'm leaving, and she knows to pick up if we call.
And she's the older one.
She's the older one.
So is she going to school all by herself?
Yeah,
or
fully.
she has a buddy system at all?
She has a friend she comes back with. They're like her best friend from junior high school happened to get into the same school. They're like two nerds together.
I'm getting anxiety thinking about Franny getting on the train by herself.
It's wild. Like, cause like you talking about like, it's a person you made.
Yeah.
And then like you got to leave them. At some point they got to do it.
Do you talk about like situational awareness? Like, don't have your headphones in. Like, I mean, assume she's got headphones in, listening to music or whatever. But like,
yeah, I mean, I've told her like, you know, I told her she could use her headphones, but I asked her not to use them until like New Year.
Yeah,
I wanted her to get used to what moving on the train is like, what to watch out for.
Yeah.
We review any weird situation. So like she'll come home and like, Dad, I got a story today.
Yeah.
And like she'll tell me about, you know, some weird incident that happened on the train and what she did. I'll give her props when she did something I agree with. I'll tell her what I would have done. Like she told me there was like a fight that broke out on the train last week.
Yeah.
So she was like, I saw the two dudes kind of like yelling at each other. So I told her like in a situation like that, I'm looking to create space and I'm looking to do it without causing issues. So like, I wouldn't take off my headphones because I don't want to let them know that I'm noticing.
That you're available.
Yeah, like I would turn my headphones off, but I wouldn't let them know that like I'm aware of what your incident is.
Yeah.
That way, like when you move, it just looks like you're moving. And then get up and look like you're doing your train related activity, not that you're leaving them. Anytime like, because while if you leave for them, there's certain people that are losing the fight that might, in order to maintain some level of aggression and power, will pivot their anger to a weaker person.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm like, just look like you're going about your thing.
I feel like I've definitely been on the receiving end of that, where like you learn early on as a New Yorker, don't make eye contact with anybody who's unstable or unhappy or angry or violent.
Exactly. So like, you know, like I'll review that with her, and I'll tell her like what I would have done differently. So like, but yeah, like her commute is like 45 minutes. She has to do a train transfer every day.
Wow.
And like, you know, I have
into Manhattan.
Into Manhattan. Yeah.
Wow.
So she goes through all of Brooklyn.
Does she carry mace or anything?
No.
I'm not a weapons person, but I'm like thinking about my kid right now, and I'm like,
and just being real, like I've thought about all those things, but also like, you know, I feel like if you give your kid mace, you're giving the person that's fighting your kid mace.
You're right.
Like realistically,
right.
like I don't even want to put the idea in my kid's head that they should be fighting back right now.
Yeah.
You're too little. You're gonna lose almost every confrontation. Your job is to avoid the confrontation and to be in spaces where confrontation is less likely. We could talk about self-defense as you get older. I'm signing both of them up for MMA this summer.
Oh, that's cool.
Specifically for that. So like, and I told my son swear he a Ninja Turtle. Like he like, yeah, I'm gonna be kicking people butts, right? And I'm like, nah. Like realistic.
They don't have nunchucks there.
Yeah. And he's like, yeah, I'm gonna be a superhero by the end of this. I'm like, little man, if you do this seriously, in like 5 years, you might be able to like sincerely defend yourself in the middle of something. But like tomorrow, you still getting your ass kicked.
Yeah.
I don't care how many like literally a year from now, if you going 5 days a week, if me and you fought, I'm a man. I'm gonna still kick your ass. So like, don't think this changes that yet. But yeah, like we've had to have those talks, and like that's the talk we had. We just went to my son's high school orientation. So like we had to have that talk with him of like, he's going to school in the city, and that commute is equally Brolic.
Yeah.
So I'm like, bro, like,
what is this adjective? Brolic?
Oh yeah, yo,
what is this adjective?
It's like
big,
yeah.
You had a Brolic salad last episode.
Yeah,
there was a Brolic something else. I meant to stop you to make sure I knew what the hell you were talking about.
It's adorable. Brolic has been slang since we were like kids.
Is etymology the word for word for words?
Yeah, I don't know what the etymology is for Brolic. I would assume bro-like.
What's the spelling?
So BROLI and either CK or just C.
Okay.
But yeah, like it's like Diesel or Big.
We said Diesel. We said Diesel.
I don't know the etymology of it. I'm sure somebody could point it out if like it's after a character or something. But like I know it means like Diesel, big, strong, or a lot.
Okay. So anyway, he's got a Brolic commute coming up.
His commute is like is crazy. So like,
what about the social network of safety amongst New Yorkers? Like I was walking up the avenue the other day and I saw a young girl in front of me, like probably 13, 14, walking alone, and this, I'll just say it, looked like a creep, came out of the dollar store behind her and like I like gave her the look up and down. Like I know what that looks like because sometimes I do it to people who it's appropriate to do it to. But and then he creeped me out. There was a vibe. And then he kind of followed her, and then he noticed her following her, or she noticed him following her.
Okay.
And she kind of like looked uncomfortable, but luckily she was crossing the street this way, and he was going straight. And I was pushing Franny in the stroller, but I had this moment of like, I got to keep an eye on him and her to make sure, because I actually at first couldn't tell if they were together or not. And I was like, I have to keep an eye on her and make sure she's okay. And it felt like a responsibility as like a grown-up in the vicinity. Do you trust, I guess with kids going on the train by themselves for these long commutes, you just have to trust that like adults are somewhat available if something were to happen.
Yeah, I trust people as a whole. I think that humanity tries to do good. And overall, I think people will do the right thing if something ever were to go down. There's times when we don't, and those are always haunting moments. But overall, I think the people will do the right thing. If like you talk about law of averages, it just sucks that like sometimes it doesn't happen, and it's your people. So to combat that, I got to give them tools. I got to give them weapons, and they're all like mental. They're like, do this, do this. My daughter, I think, is naturally good at that. My son, less or so. So our combos are a little more in depth. Because he's like a black and white kind of person. So like I got to give him like literally like a playbook, like a quarterback. All right, if somebody steps on your Timbs, you got to do this, this, and this. If it's this person, you know, and like it's admittedly exhausting. It's a lot to kind of go through with him with those things.
Well,
but everybody's brain is different. You know what I mean?
And how do you not be overwhelmed by anxiety for like different things that could or could not happen?
Oh, I am. I just don't let him see that. I'm genuinely stressed all the time about them, but their mom is like super worried about it, and like I don't want her to think that it's a thing to worry about, because then the kids will never get to do those things, and that's important too. They need to be able to like do that, and there's certain things you only learn by doing. You know what I mean? So like I've taken my kids on the train before, and I know for a fact that it doesn't matter how many times I've taken them, they won't go on their own. Right. Like they're not paying attention because they know that mom and dad got it. And there's a part of me that's like, that's beautiful. They trust me that much that they know they're safe. But a part of me is like, yo, bro, we've done this trip 12 times. Like, it's got to stick.
What do you mean? I mean? What do you mean they won't, like they don't know the stop to get off
like
at
they
or
won't
whatever?
know the stop or like. But
when they are alone, you know they are because they're getting to school.
They're gonna have to, and like now I know they know that. But like I'm saying, before they were going to school on their own, I tested it and like it wouldn't work. So I had to eventually start drilling them like, yo, next year you're going on your own, so I need you to do this walk. Right. So like that's what I started doing with my daughter when she was in 7th grade. I made her walk to pick up her brother because he went to a different school, and then walk with us. Then walk to us. So like his school is closer, so he was like, I want to walk on my own, and I was like, no, like I don't trust you that much yet, even though your commute is lesser. But I am trusting you to walk without an adult. You're walking with your sister. Right. And then for her, you're older. I want you to have the double responsibility. Those are 2 stops. It's a longer commute, but I'm trusting you with my kid. You know what I mean?
It's crazy how so much of life is just about repetitions. And like finding
Everything
your groove and like just doing it repeatedly.
Bro.
Learning from mistakes.
Yo, if you went to my house right now, on God, Michaela would be like, yo, Dad hired you to say that, right? That's all I say in my crib. Everything
like,
I be like
about practice.
Straight up, everything in my crib is like, well, you know, as a comedian, how many times do I tell my jokes? You know what I mean? So I just drill that, like, yo, when you got homework, they tell you the thing in math and how many math questions they give you related to that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So everything is doing it over.
Yeah.
You want to get good at something, do it over.
Yep.
Do it over.
Yeah.
Yo, so she get tired of me saying it, but and even that, like I told her, like, yo, as a parent, I'm trying to drill like just 4 things. So like I've accepted I can't get you to understand everything, but like this will be one of them.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's fearful. But
you ever hear the Plato? I think it's Plato. He said, "We are what we repeatedly do."
Yeah.
So yeah.
Amen. I'm with it. But yeah, like there's like a level of faith you gotta have. I trust New York as a community overall. I trust that me and my wife have done good work, and that my kids are good kids, and they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
They're intelligent. They're gonna struggle that first month and figure it out.
Yeah.
My daughter is thriving in school. Thankfully, she's on honor roll.
Yeah.
She likes the commute. She likes the energy of it. And my son is gonna be my son, and I think that
how you brushed over that. You said, here's what she's amazing at. She's amazing at these 3 things, and then my son, he's gonna be my son.
Real talk, like I love the dude, and but like, and I say that to say that I know that he's gonna do very well at this.
Yeah. But
the process to get him to do well is gonna be very different.
Right.
So like, he had the highest report card of any of my kids.
Yeah.
This past semester. She is consistently a good report card.
Right.
He's had the worst report card of any of my kids. So like,
the pendulum swings.
It's crazy. Yeah. So like, it's a different thing. He had a 97 average this past semester.
Crazy.
It blew my mind. I was like, I literally when he brought me the report card, I said, yo, my man, like,
I could kiss you on the mouth.
Real talk. Yo, I told him, I was like, yo, like, I want you to know that, like, this is an example of cursing being positive.
I was going to say,
you fucking crushed this shit. Like, yo,
nice.
Like,
that's beautiful.
I was so fucking happy. And like, I told him, I was like, I'm a curse and it's good.
Yeah.
And like, it was fire.
That must have melted his heart.
Yeah. And I was like, yo, like, this is what you're capable of. And this is this is the standard you should hold yourself to.
Did he get red in the face like he was about to cry?
Nah, that's not his vibe either. But like,
I mean, just hearing you say that made me feel so good.
It was a good family moment for sure. I let him like pick the dinner option.
I thought you were gonna say, son, this is why we do the beatings. They're working.
I will kicking your ass. Right? Nah, but like it's there's parts of like being a parent that like I've accepted that I didn't know going in. They're very different kids, and I gotta parent them fairly but differently.
Yeah.
And like, admittedly, like, I take to her easier. Like, what I do naturally well happens to work really well for her.
Gotcha.
And the stuff I have to do to parent him correctly is equally rewarding but frustrating in the process.
And you have to be more, I assume, more like intentional and like really think about your approach.
Yeah, like I gotta give it real thought that like. It's not just what I'm saying it, but how I'm saying it. Because to him, he needs to receive it in a real particular way, and it has to be very specific. And in turn, like I find that frustrating. You know what I mean? So like I have to check myself that like I'm being patient. Every time like me and him have a convo, if like it's in the living room, there's like 3 moments of me looking at Gabby of like, yo, you heard that, right? Like, I know I'm not crazy.
Am I taking crazy pills?
Every convo, bro, is like me just like, I know I'm not wild if I lose my temperature right now, right? If I go wild right now, I'm right. I need you to say with your eyes that I'm not bugging right now.
Am I speaking the same language as this young man?
I know I said English words, okay? And then she'll like reassure me and like I'll breathe and like I'll keep talking.
Yeah.
And it'll like, I'll eventually get to a place to where he'll listen. But like, yeah, like it's a different thing. So like when this like Reddit thing came up,
yeah,
like,
well, that's what I wanted to say real quick is like, so we're talking about the big wide world of New York and staying safe on the trains. The internet is its own danger zone. So like now, like you said like, hey, Reddit has everything on there. You can find everything. But like, at what age do you say like, do you leave the door open? Do you put it this way and say, hey, if you ever see anything on there that's confusing or you're interested in, and you're not sure if you should be, I want you to talk to me about it. Like, do you want to hear, like, what if he says like, hey, I found this overly sexual part of Reddit, or I found this I found the white power part of Reddit, or
right.
Like I found the Trump stuff on Reddit, and it makes a lot of sense to me. That like at what
we
point
got those combos.
Do you? I don't know. I have so many questions. But I guess like how are you sort of thinking about this stuff?
Yeah, I mean, I think me and Gabby do a good job of being available. Like Aiden texts me questions. He and that's part of like what we've learned with him, that like, and he's told us this. He's like, sometimes he's like, you speak. He tells me that I speak very very well and very like I process my thoughts quicker than him.
Mm-hmm.
So he's like, there's times when like you're saying something and like you're so like concrete with your argument that like I don't always know what I'm feeling and how to explain it back.
Yeah.
So he'll go to his room and like he'll type out a response.
Yeah.
And I'll get like a equally succinct response back, and I think it's dope. Like I was like, you took the time, you thought about what I said, you thought about what somebody else was telling you, and like now I'm getting questions that like admittedly sometimes surprise me, but like the level of depth and thought in them, like I think is impressive. And
that's beautiful.
Yeah, so like I'll be on the road and he'll like hit me up like sincerely, like a 2-paragraph question, and like why, like not only the question but like why it's a thing he's thinking about. I don't
want to breach his trust or anything, but what's the nature of some of these? It
varies from like man development in terms of like maturity, discipline, understanding and learning discipline, how to stay focused on goals. Some of them are just like getting to know what I'm about. Like he'll ask me real in-depth questions about jokes I've said on stage because he's seen the clips.
Yeah.
He'll like think of like random things that we talked about in the crib and ask me questions about that. They vary the spectrum. Some of them to silly. Like the silly question that he asked me this week is like why can't we go hunting in Highland Park? He's like, what's the difference? And like I thought that was just fascinating. And he made a Brolic but funny argument of why he thought it was similar.
Which animals is he looking to take down?
He's like anything. He's like why can't I shoot like chipmunks?
I think
in
there
Highland
is.
Park?
I mean, there might be a rat problem there. I mean, I think it should be open season on rats, and the teens should lead the way.
Not mad at it, but like it's also not dinner is what I'm getting at. Like it's not deer.
Yeah.
So yeah, like but like he's like he's at an age where like there's a lot on his mind, and like anything that comes up, you're right. Like he has questions. So I think we've been pretty good about being open. He knows he doesn't, in my opinion, I've said this to several people. I think he goes to the wrong parent a lot. But he definitely goes to us for what he's comfortable with.
Yeah.
So like there's been like sex convos that like I'm like, yo, I'm the dude. You should be talking to me.
Yeah.
But he'll talk to his mom. So
it's
like
softer response.
Yeah. So I'm like, is that wrong? I'm like, I don't necessarily think it is. But like I was like, I think I can weigh in on that, and we got the same parts.
Yeah,
you know. But it, like it won't necessarily be what he's looking for in the answer, and he knows what he feels is right, and he asks me just as much stuff.
Yeah.
So I find that stuff interesting. But for the most part, I'm just trusting that again, like we've done a good job of like presenting the fact that we're available to him.
Yeah,
and the feedback I'm getting based on the amount of questions we get is that he's coming to us.
I'm so curious, like when people do get like YouTube, you hear about it with young people, they end up watching these family vloggers who like turns out are like ultra conservative, but they do it in a fun way, so it like slowly programs young people into like thinking certain ways. Like that's the stuff I'm scared of, because right now like Franny's taste level is so bad. Like, I don't know if you know this Blippy guy. Blippy.
I've heard that word, but I don't know who it is.
Blippy is creation of a grown man. It's multiple grown adults pretending to be kids, and it's uncomfortable to watch. But she loves it, so we let her. And I keep an eye out. There's nothing too creepy in there, but I'm just like, when will she? Because then the other questionable taste thing is she's really into Imagine Dragons right now.
Whoa!
They have a music video where they're all zombies in the video. So she requests that song a lot, and that's led to her getting into the rest of their catalog, and I'm just like,
you're not an Imagine Dragons fan?
Not really. I mean, I like the song she likes, which is a strange phenomenon. Now I'm just like super into whatever she's into, except Blippi. And yeah, it's like, how do you control where you want them to go on the internet? You know, because
I could tell you that the internet I can't control, but art I can.
Yeah,
I've told both of them, like, yo, I've dedicated my life to getting really good at a craft.
Yeah,
I am super, like, you know how like people be like, yo, don't be an elitist. Fuck that. Be an elitist.
Yeah.
I am so snobby about my hip hop, my movies.
So you could just comedy. Be like, what you're listening to is bad.
Yeah, I told them straight up, like, know that like whatever decisions you make in your life, I'm gonna support them. Yeah. Except for art. If you pick shitty art, know that I'm gonna tell you it's shit.
What about
I'm gonna judge you. Your mom watches Big Bang Theory. I've considered divorcing her over that shit.
What
like,
about
don't bring that trash.
What about the art is subjective argument?
Nope.
Maybe art.
I think there is I think you can tell when something is effort's been put into art.
Yeah.
Even if it's bad, and I'm okay with that. Okay. Like if I don't like the art, but I could tell the person's trying to make good art, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
My issue is shitty art.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You watch Friends. You watch Big Bang Theory.
You're grounded.
You're grounded, B. Real talk. Like, we got beef.
What is a sitcom you loved as a kid?
As a kid,
and you, well, I mean, a sitcom you respect to this day.
I was a big Fresh Prince fan in terms of like, I think Fresh Prince and Martin were vital to me. They and like I thought it was interesting to me because it was the first time I noticed that like there was value in both directions. Mm-hmm. And it was the first time I remember noticing that idea as a person.
Like class dynamics, you mean?
Yeah, like they were both black sitcoms.
Yeah.
But one of them was black art for black people, and one of them was a peek into the black world for everyone.
Yeah.
And I think they're both important. I think it's important to have art that speaks to the communities that it comes from, and I think it's important to make art that shows those communities to other people.
That's interesting.
I think they're both important things, and these were two black sitcoms that were at the peak of their game at the same time that were targeting different demos.
Yeah.
And I remember feeling that as a kid, and like it was the first time that hit me that like, oh, you could, like, these are both equally important.
Yeah.
And I don't know, I thought that was fascinating. It really like changed my idea of like, this is just good versus this is for these people and good.
Well, and it's interesting to hear you say that because I feel like an argument could be made that your comedy achieves both with different topics and different ways
depending
you talk
on when,
about
for
things.
Sure. Yeah. And it's something that like weighs on me for sure. Like, like, so stuff like that I think matters, and you know, like and the reason I bring up Big Bang Theory is because A, Gabby's a fan, and B, I feel like Silicon Valley was the same group of people done well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a sitcom that took place that in terms of like when it was being shown to the public about the same time frame. Yeah. It was successful in its own right. Smart people in this space.
Without the layer of cheese of a live audience and multi cameras.
Yo, and to be clear, pro those things as well. Like if you're able to do that, fire. I'm okay with that. It's just I didn't think that there were so many jokes in that thing that are lazy consistently. There's two characters that for seasons I don't think you could tell apart if the joke was said by either character.
Right.
And that tells me it's a shitty joke.
Yeah.
It's not a joke coming from that person's worldview.
Right.
And I said all of this to her, and I was like, this is how I think of all art. So if you bring this shitty fucking music and I'm analyzing rap lyrics like this and comedies like this, I will judge you.
Yeah.
All right? I was like, you're allowed one shitty art a week. Okay? Everybody got like it's like
guilty pleasure.
Guilty pleasure, yeah. I was like, you're allowed one shitty thing, all right?
Yeah.
But like, that's it.
What's yours?
So mine's became mine by proxy.
Okay.
But Grey's Anatomy.
Yeah.
Grey's Anatomy, I don't think it's bad.
Let me guess how it happened. Was it just a part of your unwinding nightly routine
with Gabby,
where it was like comfort food with your wife. Yeah.
It was time with Gabby. Yeah, and I was like, "This is what you're watching." Yeah, I'll watch it. And
that's how I'm 6 seasons deep in Real Housewives of New York right now.
Real talk.
And Ross is watching Real Housewives in reverse, which is fun because then I get to see their faces morph back into what God intended. It's like time traveling. It's so fun.
Those are the surgeries we need.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, you can have one of those a week. It could be a different one at a different time of year, but you can't be once you're consuming more than one of these in a week, there's a problem with you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna judge you, and more importantly, you should judge you.
Here's my problem. Ross is very proud of her musical taste. She's an elitist with music.
See, I'm telling you, me and Ross, we get along. Be real talk.
She hates Imagine Dragons. She thinks they're so lame. She thinks they're like, probably a creation of a corporation. I've
heard this of Maroon 5.
Yeah, and I think people have the same feeling about them. My problem is I'm watching the videos. I'm listening to this guy sing. The songs are catchy. My problem is like, I don't know. He seems like a good guy. Like that's literally what I said. I'm like, I don't know. He seems kind of cool. I don't know. He's like, they're creative with their videos. They're giving all these filmmakers work. Like each of their videos starts with like whatever the song title is, and then directed by so and so.
That's dope.
And they're all like really intricate. Like there's a video with Dolph Lundgren. It's a boxing themed video.
Oh shit!
And Dolph looks amazing for nearly, I assume, 70-year-old. I don't know. And I'm just like, yeah, this is pretty cool for what it is,
And I'm sure they think they're making art.
Yeah, and I mean, millions of people do. They're an arena act, so which doesn't mean it's good. As we know.
So like, I don't know. I feel like I'm trusting I did a good enough job that like they'll come to me if they find a weird thing.
Yeah.
And I've told them that like you could trust that I'm gonna be honest.
Yeah.
I told them you can't trust that I'm gonna be right.
Yeah.
But I'll promise you I'll give you my honest take.
So back to the Reddit thing. This is a point that I want to feel you out on. I feel like I don't want to be tracked on the internet. I want to be able to explore and learn whatever I want without people tracking me. But with a minor who I'm responsible for, I feel like I want to be able to check in on her somehow. Like I want to be able to,
in on you.
I mean, nobody. Like,
and do you feel you found like a rabbit hole you shouldn't have?
I feel like I was exposed to sex stuff too young. Like we did it the analog way. Like we found lots of porn in dumpsters. Like I tell a whole story about that's how we found our porn. And I definitely saw stuff probably at like 10 years old that was like fascinating and like amazing and compelling and natural. Like I'm a very sex positive person, but I do think maybe I saw it too young and I didn't feel like I had somebody to process it with, an adult. Like we process that stuff with other older kids. Like we would have full on focus groups at whoever's house, whoever's parents weren't home. We would like look at tapes together or look at magazines and like obviously make a lot of jokes and whatever. But I was probably overwhelmed by too much information too young.
Okay.
So now of course that's happening for all young teenagers. Like I guess it sounds like you guys can be available to talk about that stuff with them.
Yeah.
But I the thing with Reddit that I would want to track is I want to be able to just look at her profile. I would want to know her profile name so I could just look at it real quick to see if she's like posting in like scary groups, like gun nut groups or what. And I'm exaggerating here. I don't think my kid is going to get seriously excited about guns or explosives or whatever, but like that shit is out there. You know what I mean? So I guess I wouldn't want to track everything she says or every interaction she has, but I would want to know generally what is she into. But I guess you could get that just by talking about it.
Talking to the kid. Yeah. I feel like the thing that makes it possible is that like I joke about how serious I am, but I am very serious about my art. And I don't just say it, I share it. Like they live it. And like every time I like share a piece of art that I think is dope, that moves me, that matters to me, I discuss it. And I think that's kind of the biggest pivot that like if you ask me to compare my parenting to my parents, is that that like I love my parents and I think they did a good job and I appreciate the work they did. But like to this day, I don't know what their interests are.
Yeah.
I don't know, and most of the people our generation, I think, are that like.
Yeah.
Like whose dad? Like he likes cigars? Like I don't know what the fuck to tell you. You know what I mean? Like
totally.
So like
I mean, when you were describing him texting you, I'm like, I cannot imagine as a kid like having lengthy text conversations with him.
I don't text him now. You know what I mean? Like so like there's like a layer of like mystery that we had with our parents.
Yes.
So like I'm an authority figure and like there's certain lines I guess they know not to cross in terms of like disrespect. But in terms of like people, I'm constantly telling them this is what I'm into. This is what I think is cool.
Yeah.
And in turn, they show me what they think is cool because they think that's what normal people do because that's what normal people should do.
Right.
So there's no like thing of like I have to chase down anything because there's nothing hidden in a way like in that regard. Like they're telling like I know Michaela's IG because we're Instagram friends.
Yeah.
So like when she finds something funny, she sends it to me.
And I love what you said about him asking questions about a specific bit of yours that he saw online. Like, I can't wait to have that kind of relationship with my kid where, like, she's interested in what I'm doing. I'm interested in what she's doing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Because, like, there's ways of us to, like, draw the connection to them. So, like, my stuff is story-centric. So, like, every time they're in school writing an essay, yo, if you get a B in an essay, I'm like, yo, I want a Webby for telling stories, right? Like, what the hell's wrong with you? I've been on TV 9 times for telling stories, and you sent in a shitty story?
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, yo, like, somebody tried to hire me to speak at your school to tell stories, and so, like,
you're an A+'s only household.
Yeah, at least with this subject.
In the English department,
So, like, but I'll say it in a funny way, and then, like, the rest of the day, like, Aiden has noticed that I'm really good at this. That like whatever we're talking about, I'm able to make it an example of whatever we just spoke about. So like if I talk about like how to like when we first brought up the idea of making stories, like I sort of show him how I can make any story funny, how I could find the story in anything, and like it was like literal shit. Like I made a story about like the Amazon delivery guy. Then I told him I could make it funny, and I showed him how to where to find the jokes. He didn't believe that I could do it with anything, so he was like, grandma's funeral. I made that shit hilarious. You know what I mean? So like
when you were done, you were like, okay, my fee is $150 an hour.
But like it was to demonstrate that there was a skill behind it.
Yeah.
And like now he respects it, and I was like, and to be clear, I earned that. Like I put in mad time to be able to like do that fast. So I don't expect you to do it like that. And I don't expect you to do anything like that fast. But A, put in the effort to be able to be good at the thing you're doing now. And B, when you fall in love with a thing, you'll dedicate enough time to where like you'll be like that with that thing.
Yeah.
So like I'm constantly looking for examples to like kind of implement that. But in turn, like it's just a demo of who I am as a person.
Mm-hmm.
And like now they're seeing that like, oh, dad shares of him.
Yeah.
So they constantly share with me and like I applaud them. I let them know what I think of it. I never give them fake props.
Yeah.
I told my daughter, yo, that painting sucks.
Yeah.
Because in turn, when the painting's dope, she knows I mean it.
Yeah. I'm
not mean, but like I let her the real. Same with my son. Like when he shows me the things he's interested in cartoon wise, we break it down. Like, yo, this is trash writing. The animation on this. Really? Like, this holds up to this?
Yeah.
Like, Ninja Turtle fan, again, I take it back. The series I fell in love with, 87.
Yeah.
That first season, great. Then the seasons after that, they get kind of funny style.
They outsourced it.
They outsourced it, yeah. So, like, I show him, I'm like, yo, like, I fell in love with this as a kid. As a 7, 8, 9-year-old, I'm allowed to love this.
Yeah.
As an adult looking back on it, this was horrendous.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like,
let me ask you this: do you guys have formal show and tell sessions, like at the dinner table? Are you going around in a circle saying, "Hey, what excited you as an artist this week? Show me something you're into," or is this all sort of informal? You're driving around, or you're
that it's more informal. Like during anytime we're in the car, I play whatever the latest hip hop song I like is. Mm-hmm. And I explain why I like it. So like this week, for example, is there's a new song by Common and Pete Rock. A collabo that hasn't happened.
I can't believe they're both still at it.
Yeah, 50 years old. They're making a collabo album. They just announced it. And they put out a new single this week. So like it gave me a chance to explain the history of these two artists.
Yeah.
Show the connections to like art that I like. My favorite hip hop song ever is by Nas, produced by Pete Rock.
Which
so
one?
like The World Is Yours from the first album.
Yeah.
So I was able to say like, hey, remember that song I like that you heard on the Illmatic album I played for you? This is the guy that made the beat behind that. That's why this is such a big deal.
Do we think Pete Rock is still using MPCs and like gear, or is he all software by now?
I would assume he's all gear still.
Yeah,
I think he's an old school
that sound,
head with that.
right?
Yeah,
he's got that great sound.
But yeah, like there's ways of showing yourself that let kids know this is a safe space to show me.
Yeah.
And if you do that, you'll never have to monitor because they're sharing. You know what I mean? Every time, like every parent I know that like, and like I know there's a level of it you kind of have to do, I guess. But like, I don't know. For me, anytime I think of somebody genuinely having to see what their kid is doing, it's because they created a space where their kid has to hide.
Yeah.
So like, don't create that space.
Yeah, I think it was this episode you were saying you guys have you can track where they are because of their phones, which is 100% appropriate at this age.
Yeah.
I've told you about one of my other jobs where I work helping young people with addiction issues or behavioral issues. I've worked with families who are tracking, 20-something-year-old children. And it's like this. It's over. Game over.
Yeah,
in this relationship. I don't know how you can get out of that without like a major intervention from a bunch of people.
Yeah, like I don't, and like so like even with that, like I told the kids, like I've told them, hey, this is on your phone, like, and it's not because like we don't trust you. It's because if something happens, I need to know where to go.
Yeah.
And it's both ways. If something happens to me, you need to know where I'm at.
Yeah.
So you could track me back. B.
Oh, that's big.
Yeah, like like when I'm on the road, you know where I am. You can see exactly what city daddy's in. When like mom says she's going on girls' night, you know exactly where it is.
Yeah.
And then we demonstrate it. Every time I go out for a show, I say goodbye to all three of them, and I give the list of shows I'm doing that night and where they are.
Yeah.
So like, I don't need to ask your mom for permission. I don't need to ask y'all to.
Yeah.
And truthfully, you two don't even know what these words mean.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? What does Union Hall mean to you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I want you to get comfortable with the fact that like we're a fam and we are a unit. So like when one of us breaks off, we share all their information because it's safe. And in turn, I'm not hiding anything. You know what I mean?
It's interesting because it's so counter to who I am as like this lone wolf personality type. It's like I don't want anybody to know where I am ever. But now with this child, I'm like, yeah, of course I want her to know she can get to me wherever I'm at, and I like that idea of her knowing where I'm at.
It's clutch, and in turn, like again, it's a convo starter. We for her we had to like do a makeup day for her birthday. She got sick on her birthday, so we did a makeup birthday in like April, like 3 months later. But like at the end of the night, we were dropping off the girls, and they live in different parts of Brooklyn, and each one of them lived by a show I've done. So it was a way to kind of connect. Like, this is this friend lives in Flatbush. This is 2 blocks away from where I do my weekly show.
Yeah.
Oh, this she lives over here. This is by Union Hall where like I do the sandwich show I always tell you about. And this is the taco spot I always go to after that your mom likes.
And again, another scenario where I just can't imagine my dad ever being like, oh, I know this place because I used to do jobs there back when I was a kid. Like, I have to pull that out of him.
Yeah.
Like, I have to be like, how long you been coming to this farm? Like, because I've gone on work jobs with him, like, just to, like, whatever. I'll be like, oh, how do you know this guy? You known him a long time. Like, if I don't ask any of that stuff, he won't just like freely share information.
And when they do is wild. Like, that's my older brother. Like I've known him. You've known him 40 years. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
You've called him a hey in front of me. Like that's it.
Totally.
Yo, dude.
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah, yo. Like there's a level of that like it did have some effect. I'm not gonna say it wasn't useful in its own way. It definitely like. Created an aura that like if he said something, I definitely had to listen to it.
Yeah.
And for safety reasons, that was valid at the time. But like I don't think that's the effective way to parent today.
Yeah.
And it's definitely not what my kids need. Maybe he felt that's what I needed, or maybe that's all he knew, a combination of.
Yeah.
But
I have a habit of, especially when I was in early sobriety, I would just like overshare with people. I would say stuff like, "Oh yeah, you know that place over there? I got blackout one time there. I hooked up with this girl behind a dumpster, and then the cops came, and then my friend jumped on the windshield of a car." And people are like, "That sounds insane." So I'm nervous. I'm nervous with my kid that I'll go into story mode about the crazy stuff, and I gotta there's some stuff that maybe she doesn't need to know about.
Yeah.
Which is a problem for the career I've chosen.
I think the list of what she needs to know about is what she doesn't need to know about is smaller than you might be willing to think. Now,
yeah.
I think the only thing that would lean me more towards your argument is her age.
Yeah, exactly.
But in terms of like period, like her knowing that stuff, I think that's completely fine for her to know.
Yeah.
I think it's, being frank, I think it's your greatest strength as a parent that like you have things that you've overcome.
Mm-hmm.
It's your biggest proof of what it takes to be a competent, successful, healthy adult. And anytime she falters, you're literally proof in the pudding of stick with the process. And this is why.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like I
That's a good
disagree.
point.
Yeah, like to me, like that's your greatest strength is the things you've overcome.
Yeah.
So like maybe I understand now, maybe not.
Yeah.
But like I would be sharing more of that earlier than I think most people would in your shoes.
Yeah, I guess it's like the details of stuff, like
right.
Because I've
you don't
heard,
need to say like the blowjob, but like
yeah. I mean, even like Ross, like she's said things about things that have happened to her that I get it creates some kind of fear response. It's like I'm scared for her past self or something.
Right, I get that.
So yeah, it's just like, and
that I don't have a connection to, so I empathize, but in turn, like I don't know, man, like so much to me is like I've told you this before that like I won't do something that like I have to like defend later and I know I'd lose.
Right.
In turn, I don't do anything I gotta hide for the same reason.
Yeah, exactly.
Like I want like if it happened, it did, I stand by it, or I don't, and that's why I'm different now.
Yeah.
Either way, like it eliminates like I every sitcom in my whole life showed me I never want to give my kid an aha moment over me. You know what I mean? Because it ruins my ability to parent.
Yeah.
If I'm straight up about my faults and the things I'm good at and bad at, that's gone now. And now it's not a thing that's used against me that invalidates the thing I'm trying to do for you.
Yeah, which I think every kid who does have something over their parents can relate to. Like there are certain things where I'm like, I'm not going to listen to that because I know what you did, or I know what mistakes you've made or whatever.
Straight up. I tell my kids all the time, like, yo, these are the things I'm good at. This is what I struggle at. This is what I wish I did different. And this is why I'm doing this, and this. Like, I've been straight up about my health. Like, yo, like, I can't tell you to eat carrots and you see that I'm like 300 pounds. That'd be wild. Mm-hmm. But if I said eat carrots because I'm 300 pounds and I don't want that for you, I'm not saying it's better than being in shape. I'm just saying it's a better argument than lying.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, like, I'm like, yo, like, I'm genuinely making the effort. This is something I struggle with. Like, I suck at this. I'm trying to get better. And this is what it's done to me that's negative versus your mom.
And that's so key, too, to give the accompanying explanation and justification instead of being like, I do this, why can't you do this? And not saying anything else about it. Because that's crazy making too, when somebody's just like telling you what to do because that's how they do it.
Exactly. So and I think it's important to show that the things you're good at and the things you struggle with for that reason.
Yeah.
And in turn, like it makes your arguments more valid. And I give them props because like in terms of the health thing, I tell them both, you both do this better than me already.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like in turn, like when I do something well, it's not a diss to them. It's like, yo, like there's a thing I do better too. Yeah. But you can still work on it. You can still get better at it.
Have they seen the sugar?
They have not. They know of it though. Like they've heard me talk about it. They've heard me stress right in pace in the living room reviewing it.
Yeah.
But no, just in general.
Will they come on June 20th? You all should come.
Word up.
To Gastor's show, The Sugar, at St. Mark's Comedy Club.
Amen.
Which I mentioned last podcast, not yet on this episode.
Word up.
Will they come to a show like that?
I think they're old enough now where I'm comfortable with them coming to like my stand up for sure.
Yeah.
They won't be there June 20th. But
school night.
Yeah, that too. But like eventually, knock on wood, I'm taping it, and they might come out for that. I think that'll be a thing.
You need bodies in the room. You might
come here because I need full seats. Okay,
you might need production assistance also.
That'd be. I've thought of that. Real talk, like just making them involved with the art in a weird way, so that there's a level of ownership.
Well, now that he's on Reddit, he can post your clips on Reddit.
And like also like I miss that like growing up with my dad. The stuff that like I thought was dope was when he would bring me to like a construction site.
Yeah.
And I did a shitty job, like, you know, building a wall. And like, I know they went after and fixed it, but like, I felt like that house was a little more mine.
Yeah.
You know, so like same thing with the specials, you know, like.
And you're a literal star, you know, you're on stage, like the center of attention, making this joyous thing for a whole group of strangers. That must be so cool for your kids to see. It's probably
they never have. So like I want them to see that. They've like
they've seen you at the tiny cupboard.
Oh yeah, that was that was a fun night. But
they've seen you do shows, right?
Only the tiny cupboard. They've been in the room once or twice before, but like in the waiting room area. That was a rare one-off.
Oh, okay.
That whole night shouldn't have happened. None of that was planned. That was
oh yeah, you told me that.
Yeah, I got convinced to do that show at the last minute.
Right.
And I literally said I'm with my kids, so like I can't do this unless it's literally me coming in, doing the set and leaving.
Yeah.
And then I got stuck there till 4 a.m. You know?
Oh, right. The car. Oh, yeah. I think you can refer back to episode 117 if you want to hear how I failed at jumping Gastor's car.
Hey, man. We tried our best, baby.
We got to get
to a Reddit question, by the way.
Yeah, we do. Let's do it. All right.
We like hyped up this as the Reddit episode and never got
now, let's start the episode.
Yeah.
All right. So this is in the fatherhood subreddit. It says, another man taking care of my child. It says, the mother of my child texted me and told me that she has a new boyfriend and he's around my son. So I asked, is he taking care of him and doing things I should be doing? She said yes. Mind you, by taking care, I mean feeding him, changing him, putting him to sleep, etc. Let alone my child is only 3 months old and still doesn't know who his dad is. Should I feel some type of way as a father, or am I overreacting by feeling some type of way? So it sounds like by some type of way, he's feeling threatened and upset and angry, and this is a classic case of like generational shit. I think it's this guy feels threatened as a man or whatever, like his macho nature, and it's upsetting to him and he doesn't know where to put it. But I mean, shouts to him for talking about his feelings, even though he can't name it. He says some type of way repeatedly. He's at least putting it out there.
Yeah, I think this is a step in the healthy direction. Like respect, you acknowledging it. I think it's good that you feel some type of way if you know how to channel it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like this should challenge you to be a better man.
Yeah.
Step your game up as much as possible. If you want your kid to view you as a valid parent, another good parent shouldn't threaten that.
Right.
You know, so if this other dude is like being a healthy, positive addition to your kid's life, that's freaking dope. That's another adult that loves your kid.
I might hit this guy up and say, hey, is this person available for other families? Because I could use another dad around the house.
Yo.
Extra set of hands never hurts.
We got a single home girl that chills with us. Yeah. That, like, I've told my wife, like, yo, real talk, she should just move in.
Yeah.
I love her, and you love her, and our kids love her. And
what's the relationship?
I went to high school with her. It's my homegirl. You know what I mean? But she's become closer friends with my wife.
Do they call her
girl
Tia yet? Is she a Tia?
I don't think the kids call anybody Tia that isn't a Tia.
Yeah.
But
we have an Auntie KK.
Okay.
Who is Kirsten, who is one of our great friends, and she's on our roster of sitters, and Franny knows her as Auntie KK.
That's beautiful.
Whenever she's around, it's always such a help, and
yo, it's vital.
Yeah.
You need the whole community thing. So I told her, I was like, yo, real talk, man, if we like 60, she could just move in. You know what I mean? We split the bills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I like how she bakes.
That's amazing.
She's good people. You know what I mean? I've been low-key, I've been really pushing for like all my friends to just buy a house on the same block.
Yes.
And like everybody take a condo.
It takes a literal village.
Yeah. I don't even care if we have kids anymore. Just us in general hanging out.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Let's kick the kids out, actually.
Redo Friends, make it a good show.
Yeah. Real talk.
But this has the situation where it's like they must be recently broken up, or maybe they're just people who got each other pregnant.
Yeah, they hooked up.
It's here's what the situation is.
I think I think it's good to want to be a good parent. I don't think someone else being good to your kid is a bad thing. I understand the feeling though. Real talk, you feel replaced.
I think my inner caveman would have a hard time with this.
Yeah.
I would feel, especially if I wanted to be with the woman, but I guess they don't really want to be together.
Right.
And that's okay. But yeah, it would feel like I was not as much of a man as I'm supposed to. Like, that's how it would feel.
Yeah.
And I would have to talk about it out loud to the internet or to you or to a therapist or whatever to hear somebody say, hey man, you just make the best of what this situation is.
Yeah.
And you're actually lucky. Somebody would probably say you're actually lucky that she's with. I think that is the first comment.
She's with a dude that wants to be a good dude.
Yeah.
I think that's beautiful,
somebody
man.
said better that someone is taking care of the little one than the alternative.
Exactly.
Which could be the mom doing it alone, or nobody wants to take care of the kid.
Or somebody being a bad adult in that home. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one's taking advantage of your kid. No one's being a negative influence, a negative energy around your kid.
Yeah.
That's someone being a positive. Let him do that. If you do your job as a dad, even if it's during the times that they're with you, they'll know you're the dad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they'll have a beautiful but very different relationship with this other dude. And that's cool too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I do like that when you hear about people who are like, I love my dad. I also love my stepdad.
Yeah.
Both of them are amazing in different ways, or, whatever.
Real talk, man.
Cool.
He's gonna cover the holes in your game, baby. That's all it is, B.
Yeah, I like that.
You got a Pippin in your house. That's it.
Zone defense.
Exactly.
All right. Here's one. Maybe we just end on this one. Maybe you can give us a rousing motivational speech.
Ooh.
This says, how common is this situation? I'm an older dad. I'm 45. Daughter is 4. Son is 7 months. I love my children. In fact, as I write this, my baby boy is fast asleep on my chest. I love my partner. She's amazing. It all clicks. The problem is I don't know if it's the adaptation to 2 kids, if this will pass, but I feel like I'm stagnating. Physically, I'm easily in the worst shape of my life. My job sucks. I used to read a lot. I've been stuck on the same book for 2 months. I'm just stuck in a rut personally. I've started seeing a therapist, but I don't feel progress. The physical and intellectual parts are what's troubling me the most. Like I said, I'm in bad shape. Intellectually, I used to analyze stuff, read so much more, etc. Now, any free time I have is spent on YouTube watching complete nonsense. I wouldn't say I'm depressed. I'm happy. I just feel like I'm stagnating and don't know how to make it stop. Which, with a 7-month-old, I feel like that's just where you're at.
Yeah, my man.
You're like in the trenches, and I have a nearly 4-year-old at the moment, and if we had a 7-month-old, I'd be, because I'm having a hard time. Like, I'm not in a crisis hard time, but it's challenging with young kids.
Oh, yeah.
And I definitely relate to what this person is describing.
I think the whole first year, anyone who's had a toddler and tells me they're thriving is lying.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
yeah.
If you're like killing it and you have a 1-year-old or less, like you're a shitty parent.
Yeah.
There's that whole first year is survival.
Yeah.
That's all it is. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong. There's a whole new person.
Yeah.
It should be like everything's thrown out of whack because it's a whole extra person in your home.
Yeah.
I get that. And you're allowed to be that. I think it's cool you're acknowledging it.
And I just want to comment on the intellectual side, the brain fog of it all.
Yeah.
I mentioned, I can't actually remember. Was I talking about falling down last episode or this episode?
Last episode.
I don't know. I'm feeling the physical stuff, which I talked about last episode. I'm also feeling the intellectual stuff. There are people's names I can't remember in the moment. Or an actor. I mean, don't even get started on celebrities and movies and shit like that. It's like whole genres have just dropped out of my head.
It happens.
And I'm like, that's lack of sleep.
Yeah.
It's the stress of having a kid. It's all these things coming together, and it makes, and yeah, like books, I used to tear through books. Now it's like a slow progress. And then the stuff I watch on TV, I'll catch myself watching total nonsense just because my brain just needs to turn off a little bit.
Right. Like, but like you're a human. So like you're acknowledging that like the what was like base level for you living, your homeostasis, I think is the word, right?
Yeah.
Like that's been recalibrated. What's going to be expected of you going forward just went up. So it's normal for you as a person to get nervous, to feel stressed, to feel like you're not getting enough rest and recharging because you are literally trying to change to what the new standard is.
Right.
But once you get there, you'll be fine. Your kid is 7 months old. That means you've made it 7 months. Baby ain't dead yet.
Yeah.
Right? So that's proof that like you've already like survived.
Yeah.
Like, you've proven you can get through the base of this. And in like another 7-8 months, maybe a year, admittedly it could take longer.
Yeah.
You're gonna get to a place to where you're now comfortable with this.
Yeah.
And then the things that you miss about what made you a more complete you, start adding them in one at a time.
Yeah,
Don't get crazy. You know what I mean? Read a book a month.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Read a book every 6 months, actually. Do a page a day. Real talk.
And
something slow like that
will
start you in the direction of like where you were at.
Yeah. And like before you know it, you're all of a sudden yourself again. Like I still don't feel like 100%. I think the metaphor I used recently is like I feel like we're still on a lifeboat and we see the shoreline and we're like slowly swimming the shore.
Yeah.
But there have been some big victories. Like I remember it was, I guess she was maybe before she turned a year, I started going to daytime open mics at the Tiny Cupboard.
Right.
And like all of a sudden new jokes were coming out of my mouth. I'm like, okay, I'm like gathering all this new material about being a new parent. And then over the course of some years, it turned into doing those in longer sets. And then now finally just last month I shot my first special that has all that stuff in there. And I'm like, I can't, how did this happen? I'm like, now that thing I made is done with, I'm like, I don't even know how that happened, but it did happen. And it's like, it's an example of like how things just sort of come together again after this major event, this major life-changing event. So if this person got through it once with the 4-year-old, he was probably starting to experience that kind of headway, and then to have the other one, that was your mistake, sir. As long as you don't have another one.
In 4 years, too. Def don't do that.
Yeah. If you're going to do another one, do it right now.
Yeah.
But yeah, I do. I'm a big fan. I have a 4-year theory. I think 4 years of like we're all programmed by 4 years. Like we do high school for 4 years, college for 4 years. If any major life change could take like a solid 4 years to really. And now I know the feeling of 4 years flying by. Like, right. Like she's about to turn 4 in 2 weeks, and like, I can't believe it. I can't believe it's been 4 years. So, I don't know. Time flies. Things get better. Yeah. Things are hard the whole time. The days are long, but the years are short is a thing I've heard.
Yeah, man.
And I think that applies to these kind of feelings.
Real talk. You know what I mean? And if not, you a shitty parent. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
it happens.
yeah.
You know
just get your shit together.
Come on, B. Stop
this
blaming the kids.
This is easy.
It's a layup, B.
This is easy.
I don't even got to try no more, okay? It's easy.
All right. Well, this is great, man. June 20th, go to Gastor's show. I'm gonna go.
I appreciate that, man.
It's on my calendar. I have 2 calendars. I have a list. This is how much of an old man I am. I have a Word document with my dates.
Okay.
And then I have my Google Calendar. Actually, and then my analog calendar.
I do Google Calendar and Notion.
Yeah, you love Notion.
Yeah.
This episode is brought to you by Notion. Download it and use promo code We Hired a Sitter for this.
Well, that doesn't work, but do that.
Bye-bye.
Peace.